Welcome back to Mandu. We have a case, a parole hearing for attempted murder, armed robbery. It was actually on the most wanted list. I found that searching this case on Google. I'll include the link in the description. But with that, let's jump in. Oh, and also please like and subscribe. Helps the algorithm a lot.
All right, good morning. Please state your name and DOC number for the record.
Reginald Waller, 304475.
Hi, Mr. Waller. My name is Brennan Kelsey. Along with me is Ms. Jackson. Mr. Freeman will be your parole panel. I'll explain the process to you, read some information to the record. We'll have a parole interview, ask you some questions. You can respond at the end. You can make a statement. We'll take a vote. You understand the process?
Yes, sir.
We have some in opposition today. We have Kyle Jones, Kayla Vickner, Corey Ferris, and Greg Ferris. At the appropriate time, you'll be allowed to make a statement. We also have Ms. Deborah Thomas and Ms. Nina Dillon. At the appropriate time, they could make a statement if they wish. Reginald, I'd also like to ask you before we get started. Ms. Bonnie Jackson was your trial judge, sentencing judge at your hearing.
Yes.
Are you okay with us moving forward with the parole hearing, or do you have any objection to her being on the panel?
I'm okay with it, sir.
You're good moving forward.
Yes.
Reginald Waller, DOC number 304475. You're a third class offender. Parole eligibility date 10/12/2022. Good time date 10/30/2043. Full term date 3/3/2055. 55-year sentence. Attempted second degree murder, aggravated battery, simple criminal damage to property, armed robbery, 2 counts, simple burglary of inhabited dwelling, simple burglary. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, would you answer Ms. Jackson's question, please?
Good morning, Mr. Waller.
Good morning.
I've been assigned your case, so I'll start questioning for the board. How old are you, Mr. Waller?
I'm 50 years old.
And how long have you been incarcerated on this?
20 years.
Obviously, I'm familiar with the case because you appeared before me. And I was the one who determined the sentence in the case. And at that time, I was also aware of just what happened in the case. But I'd like for you, just for the other members of the panel, to briefly describe what you did that caused you to be incarcerated. About what?
July 6, 2002, I went in jury store asking for a repair jury I had, and they couldn't fix it at the moment, and I left out and came back with a firearm and asked the owner, the employee, for the cash, and I hit her across the head with a gun, and next thing you know, the owner came out, and I shot him, and I just started hallucinating because I was on influence of drugs and broke a few jury cases and robbed and left and went to my mother's house, and that's when a lot of police had came, and I left, and I had a warrant for my arrest for what I had done.
So you acknowledge that you have done the things that you were accused of doing, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Help us understand what was going on in your world that caused you to commit this crime. You included drugs, but what else is going on? Tell us what kind of drugs you were using, how long you've been using. So give us just a little bit of background information about your life 20 years ago.
At that moment, I was doing good for myself. I just fell off the track. Like, started hooking up with the wrong fellows and ended up getting on drugs and lost my barbershop job, and I was working for Lamont Graphics, and it led me to drugs and it led me up to this crime.
You were doing well. Why would you choose to start hanging around with the wrong fellows and using drugs?
That's the question I've been asking myself, man, how I fell off a track, and it's just something that just happened. I wish it wouldn't have happened, but it's just got off the track, man.
How old were you being fell off track and started using drugs?
Age of 20, 29.
And what kind of drugs did you become involved with?
Came in drug with ecstasy, marijuana,
What else?
alcohol. That's basically it.
Well, neither of those drugs, neither of those substances are known to cause hallucination. And you had already had 2 prior felony convictions. So seems like this was just a pattern of behavior on your part.
I'll admit, man, I've been getting in trouble basically all my life. Just my first time with a violent offense. And my last 2 prior convictions was simple burglary and simple burglary on a vehicle.
So you actually shot the owner of the jewelry store, is that correct?
Yes,
After
ma'am.
you had struck the female employee with the weapon?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you do that?
That day, I don't know what was in me that day, but I know I can't take back what I done, but I take full responsibility for my actions, and some type of way I wish I could make up for my actions and let them know that I'm not that type of person or hurting someone, which I didn't did a lot of crimes, but still hurting someone, breaking into it, breaking in their personal belongings and stuff. But me hurting someone, violent, I don't know how that person got into me that day.
Well, let's move ahead. You've been incarcerated for 20 years, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
How many disciplinary write-ups have you had over the last 20 years?
21 or 22 write-ups.
Are you? Let me go back and check. I thought I saw on your master prison record 41. Does that sound right?
Yes, ma'am.
It's not 21, it's 41. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And your last, you had 2 disciplinary separate incidences in 2021. In January of 2021, you were written up for contraband, defiance, and I think aggravated defiance.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
tell us about those incidences. What happened to cause you to get written up?
January last year, I stopped an employer, asked you must be doing overtime today. And she said, no, this is my shift. And I was violating by having a cell phone in my pocket. And she like, well, no, this is my time. I'm doing my regular shift. Matter of fact, let me do a search on you. And I let her search me, and she felt my pocket and asked me what that was. And I told her nothing. And I came out of my pocket and put it under my arms. And she said, well, that's a cell phone. And I went walking off and went to the bathroom and flushed it.
So this was in 2021. You had already served almost 20 years in prison, and you know that it's against the rules to have cell phones. So why would you make that decision?
At that moment, ma'am, I just been stupid.
Where'd you get the cell phone? How did you get it?
I bought it from someone.
Someone inside the prison?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you made a conscious decision to acquire something that you knew you weren't supposed to have.
Yes, I know I was wrong for having it, and I was breaking the rule for having it.
And what was your punishment for that write-up in January?
Lost a canteen and working cell block.
For how long?
I stayed in the block for about 6 months.
And then in June, I guess, right after you got out of work in cell block, you got a write-up for a Rule 28, which was an aggravated work offense. That was on June 21st of last year. So tell us about that one.
Well, that was for a work offense. A few of us that got written up that day because we didn't report to the gate because we didn't have any clothes or any boots, and it wasn't no action taken on the write-up. The write-up was dismissed because one of the guards had verified that we didn't have any clothes or anything by coming out the blocks, and the write-up had just got dismissed with no action taken.
So several of you all who had been in the same situation got written up for that. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, tell us about, you have a job at the prison?
I go to school all day, ma'am.
When did you start going to school?
When I came to Allen Correction,
How long have you been at Allen?
15 months,
And prior to that, where were you?
Angola.
And what was your job at Angola?
I was a cook, and from a cook, I was a barber, and a healthcare audit.
And how did you end up getting transferred to Allen?
They just shipped me. They shipped me and a lot more of us here.
So what programs have you taken over the last 20 years?
From Allen, I took truck driving, life skills. I'm in the process of getting my high set. I just had to complete 2 more classes. Thanking for a change.
Have you
I'm
completed,
living in Paris.
have you completed Thinking for a Change?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell us what you got out of that.
Ma'am.
Tell us what you got out of that.
I learned a lot about myself.
That's what I want to know. What have you learned about yourself?
Learned a lot about myself. Well, I've been going wrong, getting in trouble majority of my life. I figure out how I can be a better person without hurting anyone or stealing or anything or just breaking the rules. Just learning how to be a better man, take responsibilities.
And I see you took Living in Balance 1 and 2. That's the substance abuse class, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us why you took that class and what you got out of it?
Learning about drugs or what drugs do to you, how they ruin your life, and what led me to this situation I'm in now. And I still need help. And if I get granted parole, I'm going into a treatment that I have Ms. Thompson had checked into a program for me to enter in.
Any other programs that I didn't mention that you think have been important to you?
Yes, ma'am. Pre-release, 100 hours.
And why was that important? What pre-release has a number of classes in it. Which ones do you think helped you the most?
Victims awareness.
Let's talk about that. What you learned from awareness.
come to my victims, I would like my victims to know me, that I'm not a bad person at all. I just made some bad choices in life.
That's, okay, that's about you. Victim awareness should teach you about how you affect them. So what did you learn from their perspective?
I heard of them, I heard of my family as well. And just like to prove to them that I'm not that person that I was July 6, 2002.
Or what can you tell us about Mr. Waller?
Fellow Waller and I spoke on last week, and I expressed my concerns to him that he has to try to receive much substance abuse treatment as possible. That way he can be a little bit better aware of his triggers. I think he still needs additional help in that area.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kelton.
All right, thank you. All right, now we'll hear from Ms. Deborah Thomas. Ms. Deborah, would you like to make a statement? You can come up to the podium.
Yes.
Come up to the podium and make a brief statement. Yes, ma'am, right there.
You want everyone.
Good morning.
So what I have been encouraged to do is to provide the assessment of Mr. Waller in regards to his background and life history, his as a juvenile and as an adult, and his crime criminal background issue. And then to determine whether or not he meets criteria inpatient treatment and continue on the pathway, how previously. So, and have, when that assessment is, and will be performed, then there is the opportunity, it's not a guarantee, it's an opportunity for the facility to be exception to make a decision. Because at this current time, does not meet criteria for having on service. So I will have to perform the assessment, and I can do that by Zoom. And then submit the findings of that assessment.
Thank you.
And I do have a letter that if he meets criteria, part made. Take it, because one of the things that is recognized that abstinence on its own is not true.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, now we'll hear from Mr. Kyle Jones.
Good morning, everybody. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Kyle Jones. I'm the son of Deanna Jones, who was almost murdered by Reginald Waller on July 6th, 2002. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this morning and advocate on behalf of my mother, and I relish the opportunity to do this parole hearing process again and again for as long as it takes to keep this repeat violent criminal behind bars for the entirety of his sentence. Put yourself, please, in my shoes for a few minutes. I'm now 39 years old. I was 18 when this man, Reginald Waller, violently attacked my defenseless mother. My mother, not myself, my own mom. I remember the day that I got news of the attack. I remember feeling helpless. I remember being angry. But what I remembered the most after all these years The image that vividly is imprinted in my memory is the smirk on Reginald Waller's face at the trial when my mom took the stand and faced him. Amidst her pain and anxiety on the stand during her victim impact testimony, she told him that she forgave him. And I remember at 18 years old, his lack of remorse. A repeat violent offender, someone who was already out on parole and who was given numerous chances before, nearly took my own mother from us. This is unacceptable. Reginald Waller's progressive and escalating criminal history is unacceptable. This violent attack against my mother alone was premeditated and should have come with heavier charges to begin with. Reginald Waller entered into Hannon Jewelry that Saturday morning, with a calculated plan, armed with a gun. He scoped out the store and asked my mother directly, who was behind the counter, who else was working in the store that morning. Then he went back outside and returned quickly to put his plan into action, thinking she was alone. This was premeditated and easily could have been attempted murder charges against my own mother. He hit my mother so violently with the butt of his handgun that it shattered the front of her skull. Imagine someone doing that right now to someone that you love, but especially your mother, when you are not there to protect her. It is a scene that I often find myself thinking about, and the absolute terror and agony that she endured, thinking that she was about to die. As a family, I feel like we settled on the charges that were brought forward in my mother's case specifically, period. I was young and did not know and understand the law at the time. I did not understand the differences between the charges, but we settled on his. This was premeditated attempted murder, not aggravated battery against my mother. And I will not settle for anything less than this violent man serving out the entirety of his sentence. I'm hoping this parole board hears the outcry from my family and from the other victim impact statements of Waller's criminal actions. My mom was literally centimeters away from death, not inches, centimeters. He tried to take my mom's life so violently that morning. My mother, our mother, now my now children's Dee Dee, our everything. He nearly murdered her. And for what? Some jewelry? Some cash? This man deserves nothing? Nothing. He left her for dead. Hell, he likely thought she did die. And he went on the run and was already given numerous chances. The tragic irony of this whole ordeal and what is so unfair is that my mother, my children's Dee Dee, is the one left in this case with a life sentence of being scared and reliving the violent attack of nearly dying and living with the permanent deformity in her forehead, with a metal plate still attached to this skull that is protruding out of her forehead. My mother is not afforded a chance for a parole hearing to give her reprieve. She is left carrying out a life sentence in this case. In closing, please hear us and our plea to you. Keep this violent, repeat criminal who has a progressive and escalating history, who almost murdered my mother, behind bars. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your comment. We'll hear from Ms. Corey now.
My name is Corey Jones Barretts, and I'm standing here with my sister Kayla Jones Bickner, speaking on behalf of our mother, Mrs. Deanna Jones. 20 years ago, paroled from his second prison sentence, Reginald Waller almost killed our mother and Mr. Hannon. All these years later, the mere mention of Waller's name or the hint of a crime in her neighborhood, and our mother is transported to the horror of the day we entered the door of Hannon School. How will our mother ever forget the barrel of Waller's gun shoved in her face?
or the anger in his face when he realized there was no cash in the store, or the pain of his violent blow to her skull with the butt of his gun, or the soul-piercing sound of the gunshot to Mr. Hannon, and then shots flying above her. All these years later, our mother continues to serve her own sentence imposed by Waller. She couldn't even leave our home for a year after this violent attack, paralyzed by fear. Waller made choices that day, and his choices horrifically changed our mother's life and the life of our family. Waller left them both for dead. He left our mother to die with her skull cracked open and Mr. Hannon bleeding out from a gunshot wound. A craniotomy saved our mother's life, but also left her with a permanent titanium plate in her forehead to protect her brain. Every time our mother, as a woman, looks in the mirror, she is reminded of the brutal attack she survived. We see the evidence when we look at our mother of that metal plate and screws in her forehead. We're forced to remember what Waller did to the most important woman in our life. Of all the victims, our mother's attack was the most brutal. He violently pistol whipped her. He hit her skull so hard that her blood splattered on the wall behind her. She had no way to defend herself, had no idea if she would survive. And as a female, that is the ultimate fear. However, the most terrifying fact about this crime is that our mother was at work, doing what she loved the most, and had no idea she was about to be fighting for her life in the ICU. She had no idea Waller would come into Hannon's door twice that July morning. The first time he came in to scope it out, he pretended he needed to repair. Made sure there were no security guards on duty. Made sure it was just two homeless women behind the counter. The second time he entered Hannon's, he came in with a gun and determined to leave with cash and diamonds by whatever means necessary. He came with intent. A two-time convicted felon out on parole for the second time came in with premeditation to commit another crime, a violent crime, and he almost murdered our mother. Our family is so grateful to a court system which found Waller guilty for crimes he intended to commit. We felt safe when he was convicted and sentenced to 50 years. I'm so thankful for the verdict. And now to be up for parole after only 20 years is terrifying. With the degree of violence he showed that day, we do not feel he can be reformed after only 20 years. We plead with this board to please keep Reginald Waller in prison. You can see his progression as a criminal when you look at his arrest record. He is a danger and a threat to this community. Waller has been granted parole twice before and has proven yet again he cannot be a law-abiding citizen. If released, we are convinced he will attack someone else. He has proven that he will shoot or try to kill anyone who is in his way. It matters not the classes or services he has attended or if he's been a model prisoner. He deserves to serve his complete sentence. If you release Waller early, you will be transferring his sentence to our mother and all of the other victims. We ask that you please deny his parole to please keep this community safe from violent repeated offenders like Reginald Waller. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. All right, Reginald, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
Yes, sir. I take full responsibility for what I've done. I can't change the past or that person who I was at that time, but I have changed. I have changed. I became a better man within these 20 years. I had stumbled over the years, but violating the rules at Angola, but since I became to Allen, I became way much a better person and completing classes on the urge of getting my high set, and I'm steady learning, and that's all I can do, sir. Steady learning, making myself a better person.
All right, thank you for your comment. Now, prepare to vote.
Yeah.
Ms. Jackson?
Ms. Waller, I commend you for the things that you have been working on. I'm glad that you're working on your high set. I'm glad that you've taken some programs. But I think you've got more work to do. The warden indicates that he believes you need additional substance abuse treatment. I think you need additional victim awareness. I think you need more programming that helps you deal with who you are as a person. I'm concerned about disciplinary write-up. While it's not the worst that we have seen, it's far from being exemplary. Your institutional record is described as fair. You've had 41 write-ups in 20 years, and I'll give you 40 because you said that last one involved everybody who didn't have the clothing that they needed, and that was there was no punishment for that. But that's still a lot. I mean, we've had people who served twice your amount of time, and they've had half the write-ups that you've had. I'm concerned that you've gotten write-ups as recently as 2021, one involving a contraband, a phone that you took the deliberate steps to acquire, even though you knew it was against the rules. And so if you're not able to abide by the rules in the institution, that gives me concern about whether or not you would abide by the rules outside the institution. I think you've got some more work to do, Mr. Waller. I'm going to continue to keep working on yourself. But my vote today, because of the strong victim opposition, law enforcement opposition, the need for more programs, my vote today would be to deny. But I encourage you to keep working. Don't use this as an excuse to fall back into old habits. So, but my vote today is to deny.
Mr. Freeman? Okay, Mr. Waller, you're looking at this case, a very, very serious crime that you committed. You disciplinary history, you haven't served but 20 years on 55-year sentence. You have a bad criminal history, and with the victim opposition, I also vote to deny, and I want to thank the victim for showing up today as well as the support.
All right, you have 2 votes to deny, so I'm going to vote to deny your parole for the same reason you stated: victim opposition, law enforcement opposition. You need to work on your discipline. That's just, not acceptable. That in 2021, being as long as you've been down, to be having this disciplinary right. So 3 votes to deny today. Your parole has been denied. Good luck to you.
And just have a seat, Waller, right back where you were.
What work to do? Keep working that.
Well, let's unpack this. By the way, getting a cell phone, what I've learned on this channel, one of our subscribers, Mandu family members, was a former, I believe, Angola inmate, and he said that a cell phone is $1,500 to get one inside. So it must be a hard thing to get caught for flushing it down the toilet. It's a lot of money. The article that I found here, he was listed as the most wanted list. Suspect robber charged with attempted murder of a jeweler has been arrested during a routine traffic stop. The suspect identified on the most wanted list last summer. So it seems that, well, let's see. I think it may have taken him a while to get arrested. Waller is accused of allegedly shooting Baton Rouge jeweler July 6th. In the morning, a man came in with a revolver and demanded the store's money. When the jeweler came towards him, the robber shot him once in the abdomen, fired several shots into the store walls, and pistol whipped the female sales associate, causing significant trauma to her head. Then he fled. That's pretty much it. It's interesting that the man who was shot didn't come to this hearing, but we heard how violent it was for the victim's mother here, and you could see the pain on his face. We've seen a lot of hearings, and the anguish and anger, contempt, and all rightful feelings. I'm not saying it in any other way. He just, I mean, how else would you feel if, like he said, if someone comes into the store and at the moment and just pistol whips you, and so violently, where the, like you said, the blood spattered, like there's blood spatter against the wall, and she has permanent deformities with the plate in her head. And he was out on parole from his second felony when he did this, and he went into the store with a revolver, shot a man, pistol whipped. Could have easily been a double homicide. He served 20 years. He's 50 years old. He's got another, it's a 55-year sentence. He has another, so he has another 35 years. So if he did his full sentence, he'd be 85. Now he's going to get another chance of parole. I don't know how long he has to wait. But he does have a really bad record. 41 write-ups, and the most recent one. So there wasn't a shot of him getting out. I don't think. Well, I didn't think, and apparently not. He has I'll put in the description for those of you that are into the whole law thing. He filed because I think he took a plea deal, because I can't find any actual typical court hearings, but he filed, I think he pled guilty, and then he didn't like his sentence. So I'll paste it in the description, but he basically filed a relief on habeas corpus because I think he was saying that it was double jeopardy, that he was given a sentence for committing, I guess, for 2 charges of robbery, and he said that wasn't legal, but they denied his charge. I mean, his suit. So it's not really even an appeal. It was like an actual lawsuit against the sentencing. Love to hear comments on that from any of you. Legal, what's it called? A legal junkie? Because it's not just lawyers, and it's not just it's I mean, as I was told by one of our subscribers, who would also serve time, that he's spent years studying law. But yes, please do like and subscribe, and I'm going to add some other videos right here or somewhere here that I think you might appreciate and have less views, so maybe you haven't seen it yet. With that, I will let you go.